Hey guys, Dark here, and I wanted to make a video to give a guide for leveling a sorceress, which is beginners friendly and it's step by step. In the video, I'm going to first go over the sorceress abilities that you're going to need to level up and the skill points and how to assign them. Talk a little bit about the sorcerer's identity skills, and then I'm going to go over some general tips for leveling. I will put timestamps as well so you can skip back and forth as you wish. Let's get into it. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the build for the sorceress in order to level. I'm going to go over the skills in order, so when you're leveling up, go by the order of the skills that I'm mentioning here. We're mainly going to only use 3 skills to level up all the way to 50. For the other 5, you can use whatever you find more fun, but you will rarely get to use them anyway. So let's get into it. The first ability you want to focus on as you're doing your early levels is Seraphic Hail, and you want to put 7 points into it, and you can do so by pressing K. This window will open up, and then you can put skill points into an ability by pressing the plus icon like this. And as you level, you get a certain amount of skill points, and once you hit a certain threshold, it'll open up these enhancements that you can do. So the 2 enhancements you want to take for Seraphic Hail is the quick prep for reduced cooldown and the additional explosion, and this causes it to explode an additional time whenever you use this ability. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to pull it onto my action bars and let's showcase it. So you're going to use this ability to kill groups of mobs as you're leveling. So whenever you get quests like kill 5 of this or kill 10 of this, you gather them up and then you just use the ability and it should kill them in one shot. After you level up this ability, the next one you want to focus on is Punishing Strike, and you want to go all the way to 10 with this one. So as you level up, just slowly put points into it. And what you're going to start up with is Wide Angle Attack, so this increases its radius. You want to go with Electric Discharge, and it does more damage and it explodes an additional time. And then you want to go with Magic Amplification, which makes it do more damage by 55% and an additional 20% whenever you use your identity. And this is extremely useful because it'll help us kill elites and bosses in dungeons. You can usually just one-shot them. And then we're going to put this one on our bar and we're going to use it just to showcase it. Again, the first time you click it will have a circle, and then you either click or you can press the hotkey again. I usually press the hotkey again because it's faster. So I just double tap the hotkey, and this is how the ability looks. As you can see, it does a lot of damage. And the last ability that we want to focus on for leveling is called Explosion. And we're going to again invest 10 points into this one as well. And we're going to go for Law of the Jungle, and this one increases its damage by 30% against normal mobs, and that's good because whenever we're clearing we can just use this ability. Then we're going to go with Weak Point Detection, which basically increases its damage by 30% against bosses. And then we're going to go again with Magic Amplification, which increases its damage by 50% and an extra 20 whenever you're doing your identity skill, which we will go over in a minute. So this is the last one you're really going to need for leveling purposes. And the way it works is you aim it in the direction that you're facing, and then it casts like a fireball, which explodes on impact. And it does a lot of damage as well. So this is the main 3 abilities that you need. You can play around with the others, see what you like, and use them if you want. I'm not going to go into them that much because really you can just use these 3 for everything. Now in the early game, whenever you get to a dungeon and you're going to fight the last boss, what you want to do is you want to fill this bar that you have here, which is your identity skill. And the way you fill it up is by just attacking mobs and using your abilities. So if I just use my ability here, you'll see that the bar will fill up a little bit like this. So usually when you're doing a dungeon, by the time you get to a boss, you've killed a lot of mobs and your bar should be full. Now what happens is when you go above 30%, you can use your identity skill, and what it does is it increases your damage by 10% and reduces the channel time of your abilities by 50%. When it's above 30, but not all the way up full. And then when it's full to its maximum, it actually increases your damage by 20%. It gives you extra stuff as well, like cooldown reduction and etc. But when you're leveling, you don't need to actually wait for it to go all the way up because it's not worth it. So let's say you're in the early level, you're doing your first dungeon, you only have Seraphic Hail and Punishing Strike. What you want to do is you get to the boss. Let me make this full so I can showcase it. So you get to the boss, you want to do, you press your identity skill, you press Z, you do Seraphic Hail into Punishing Strike, and the boss should be dead at that point. So that's really as simple as it gets. When you do get Explosion as well, you can do the same thing but use Explosion as well. So let me refresh this, reset my cooldown. So again, you press Z, you do Seraphic Hail into Punishing Strike into Explosion, and yeah, the boss will be dead, especially if you're doing it on normal mode, and we'll get into that in a second. So just like that, you will kill the dungeon boss. It'll be very simple. When you're killing mobs, it's the same thing. Let's say you get a quest to kill 10 mobs. Just make sure that you don't use your abilities on one mob, like one at a time. You want to go and try to gather them, just run around them, gather them all together, and then you can press your Seraphic Hail in the early levels. When you go higher, you can just use your Explosion once you have them all gathered, or you can use Punishing Strike, whatever that's available, and this will one-shot the whole group and your quest will get completed. So with that, that's pretty much the end of the build that you're going to use for Sorceress. And now I want to give you guys some tips while leveling. Hopefully they'll help you level up faster and more efficiently. So the first tip is that if you're most likely coming from a lot of other MMORPGs with the mindset that killing mobs give good experience, but in Lost Ark they don't give much experience at all. So while you're leveling, it's not worth it to kill mobs on your way at all. So it's better to just go point by point to the quests and do them. So that's the first pointer. The second one is whenever you're doing quests, it's not good to kill one mob at a time, especially with a sorceress. So try to gather all the mobs together and then hit your abilities. So I'm going to demonstrate here by summoning a bunch. So I'm going to just walk around, wait for them to all, you can just go in a circle like this. Once they're all gathered up, you can use your abilities and they should all die like that. The next tip I have is regarding potions. So in Lost Ark, you have two kinds of potions. You have the potions you see here, which recover a percentage of your HP instantly. And then you have the kind of potions that I have here, which recover, some amount of HP in 8 seconds. So it's not instant. So the potions that instantly recover your HP are very valuable. And since they're a percentage of your HP, they're also useful in the end game. So my recommendation is not to use these. If you can, just use the ones that give you HP back in a certain amount of time, because this will save you a lot of resources in end game, because you can use these potions whenever you go into raids. In the end game, you can use these potions, but you can't use the ones that give you HP over time. During leveling, you're going to get a lot of different chests, card packages, and engraving boxes. So they will all look something like this one. You're going to get login events, awards like this, which are like all these different kinds of chests, and you're not going to know exactly what they are. My tip for you is to you can control right click on your pet and then go to storage like this and just put all of them in your storage. If your pet doesn't have this functionality, it's fine. You can go into the cities. You'll see a icon just similar like this one on the map, and just store them all. No need to open them or think about them for the time being, but do not throw them away or sell them or anything. Just put them in the storage because they're all pretty useful in the end game, and then you can focus on that whenever you get to the end game, because the game can be very overwhelming if you want to focus on all of that at the same time. So just store them all in the storage. Okay, so the next tip is when you're doing the dungeons and when you want to do them for your quests, it gives you two options. That you can either do them on normal mode or you can do them on hard mode. The only difference is that the hard mode, only the mobs and the bosses have more HP, and the reward is a bit better item level. It's not worth it to do it on hard. You can just do it on normal. It's much faster. And your items are going to get replaced anyway because in Lost Ark leveling is really fast. There are some, you know, other perks for doing hard, which is regarding collectibles and everything, but you can come back and do them whenever you get much more gear than whenever you have time to do the collectibles part. But for leveling and everything, you can just go ahead with normal. My next tip is whenever you're doing dungeons, there's no need to kill all the mobs whenever you're doing them. As you can see on the map, whenever you're doing dungeons, there are certain quests, or you can say waypoints that you need to make it to, and then there, for example, you have to kill all the mobs or do something. So until you get there, you can just go along and just skip all the mobs. So for example, when I come here, as you can see, there's an icon here, so I need to kill these guys. So I'll go ahead and do that. But when I come down here, I can just go ahead. I don't need to kill everything that I see here. Like, I can just skip these guys. There's no reason to kill them. And I can just do the quest objectives. And since mobs in Lost Ark don't give that much experience anyway, it's not really, you're not losing on anything. And just like that, whenever you do dungeons like this, it makes them super quick. As for doing quests and side quests, just doing the quests in Lost Ark, just doing the main quest in Lost Ark is enough to get you to 50. So the side quests are really optional. Even though they're really fast to do, you can just skip them if you wanted to get to 50 faster. The only thing I would say is that in Lost Ark, you get to a point in endgame where you have some dailies that you run, and then you have pretty much free time to do whatever that you want. So if you skip the side quests and you reach that point of the game, you can come back and do a lot of these side quests if you wish to do so. And the last tip I want to give in this video is when you actually are questing and you get to a location called Lake Bar. So once you finish the quest in Lake Bar, and you'll get a quest to go to Medric Monastery, you'll either get a gold icon here with a quest, but if you don't, you can just press J and it'll open this screen for you, which just shows all your quests. What you can do is on the top there is a tab called Guide. You should press on that and you should have two quests, one for fishing and one for mining. I recommend doing them, and just remember this guide section in the future. As you go into different zones, you'll get one for foraging and you'll get one for logging. I recommend you do all of them so you can get your rare logging and mining and foraging equipment. And when you're leveling, I recommend to try to get herbs and mining nodes and trees on the way. It does help you with your stronghold, etc. later on in the game. You could skip this as well and just do it later, but as you're leveling, you'll just see a lot of these nodes on your way. So if you can be bothered, it's pretty good to just take some of them. You don't have to go ham and get all of them, but just get some of them. It will help you along the way. And with that, that's pretty much all I wanted to cover. I think with these tips, you should have a pretty smooth ride all the way up to level 50 and get to the end game. Of course, when you do get to the end game, when you open up Chaos Dungeons and Guardian Raids and all of that, you do need to use a different build. I do have a video going over the Chaos Dungeon build, so you can go take a look at that. I'll put it in the description as well. And then I will also make one for Guardian Raids as well. And so, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, feel free to subscribe and keep an eye out for some of the future guides as well. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer in the comments. Peace.